Yo, what's up, family? Before we start the video, please subscribe, leave a like, share with anybody that you can and anybody that you can. And without further ado, let's get right into it. This game, I might talk for 30 minutes on this game. I'm not even gonna lie to you, but the Celtics lose a heartbreaker, a gift they just dropped. The Heat dropped them a gift. Jimmy's out for the second half. Tyler Hero basically didn't even play because the Celtics ran him off the court because he couldn't guard anybody, and the Celtics still lose 109 to 103. There's a lot of places to start in this game, but I'm gonna start with what the Celtics start with, and that's Jason Tatum. For a guy who I think is a superstar player in this league, you cannot have games like this, especially this late in the season. Everybody has bad games, of course. Like Giannis had a couple, KD had 3 against us out of 4 games. But what's different about Tatum's bad games is that he's an absolute zero. KD struggled against us for 3 games, shooting inefficiently, being indecisive, basically being some type of way that we've never seen KD be ever before. But in those games, he was still giving you 20 to 25 points, a couple of rebounds, couple assists, even though he was not his usual self. KD never scored 10 points in any of those games, and all you needed from Tatum was just for him to be slightly above average. Not even, he could have still had a horrid game. Even if Tatum has the same performance, but with 2 turnovers and not 6, maybe you win this game. Jaylen Brown also has 6 turnovers. Can't really fault. This is a crazy experience for Jaylen Brown as a fan. We'll get into that, but Tatum has now had 2 games, and it's crazy because they were both game 3s. Game 3 against the Bucks, the Celtics lose by 1 point. Without Rob, smart play, but without Rob, Tatum has 10 points. In a playoff game, Tatum has 10 points in a game 3. The Celtics only lose by 1 point. He has 10 points in a game where all they needed was about 15 and just 1 to 2 less turnovers. And Tatum he shitted his pants, bro. He pissed down his leg. Tatum has to be better, and it's just different when he has bad games, because when he's not scoring, he's disinterested. He's become this, what I think, all NBA on-ball defender and help guy, but when he does not score, he's not the same player. He doesn't have the same level of focus or even the want to even play. And you can't do that in the playoffs, especially not against a team against the Heat who actually value possessions, who will fight till the clock hits 0-0-0-0. They're gonna play till the end, and that's what they did. But Tatum has to be much better, bro. Superstar. And then he'll drop 10 this game, he'll fuck around and drop 40-50 the next game. It just is how it is. But again, everybody has their bad games, but as a superstar, a guy that's been there, done that in the playoffs, not the finals yet, but a guy that has these 50-60 point performances, a guy that can be the best player on the floor on any given night, he has to limit his bad games. You cannot have 10 points. He only shot twice in the second half. In the third quarter, he only shot 2 shots. Your best player can't do that. And then it was kind of crazy because Tatum got hurt. They went on a run, got it to 1. Tatum came in, clogged everything up again. Strus hits a 3. He turns the ball over. Shit just crumbles. But I don't expect Tatum to play like this again. He just has to limit his bad games to bad games for his standards and not horrible games. All right, so next we're going to touch on his running mate, Jaylen Brown. The only reason the Celtics were even in this game, and with Al, we'll get to him later, but Jaylen, this is the very confusing part about a player like Jaylen Brown. He can explode any night he wants to. Guy that's gonna average 25. Sometimes he gets off to hot starts, then he fizzes out. Sometimes he get off to slow start, then he picks it up. This is one of the rare games, especially in the postseason, where Brown had it going the entire night. When the Celtics were getting blown out, he was the only one playing, scoring. He wasn't turning it over though in the first half, which is a completely different entity. But Jaylen Brown shot 14 for 14 on 2s in a 40-point effort. Jaylen Brown is one of, like, He's a very efficient scorer. I don't want to go too far, but when Brown has his scoring outputs or when he's in his bag and he's just going off, they're usually efficient nights. It doesn't get much better than that. But the experience is, it puzzles me how a guy with his handle, a guy with his breakdown, quick chainness and ability to create space, a guy that's worked on his game for countless years, how he continues to be like rookie Jalen with that handle, just very sloppy, bro. And it's like, he had what, 20 steals or 19 steals? Half of those were not even steals. Half of them is Jalen dribbling off his foot, handle just sloppy, putting the ball in Oladipo's hands and chest. Don't get me wrong, Oladipo played good defense, but half of those steals he had, Jalen's just handing him the ball because he's so fucking sloppy. Tatum has 7 turnovers, Brown has 6, or it's even flip-flop. 13 turnovers from the 2 best players is unacceptable, and about 10 to 12 of those turnovers were live ball turnovers. He had 30 points off your turnovers, and they barely cracked 100 with 109 points. Where do you think you would be if you did not be so careless with possessions? The Celtics don't value possessions, and at any point in time, they can revert to the team that they were at the beginning of the season, where they just did not care enough. Brown, not really. I'm not gonna speak negative about Brown after this, because he was absolutely amazing on the offensive side of the ball. Again, shout out JB. We not putting this on him at all. Next, you have Al Horford, just a steady guy. I want to see officially what Al had. I know Al had 20 and I think 11, something like that. Let me find him. Okay, Al Horford, 42 minutes. Without Rob, 7 for 14, 3 for 5 from 3, 20 points, 14 rebounds. Another great Al game. You know, Bam took it to him a couple times. We'll talk about that too. But Al's just so steady, man. There's nothing we can really say that we haven't been saying about Al. Not a guy that's gonna turn it over a lot. Just a guy that can switch. A guy that's ultra solid on both sides of the court, and along with Brown, was probably the second most important factor in that comeback. Just wasn't enough from Tatum to get the job done. So shout out Al, shout out JB. Marcus Smart. This game was one of the crazier games I've ever seen, and probably half of that is due to Marcus Smart. So Smart is chucking threes at the beginning of the game, not really having his usual Smart impact, you know what I'm saying? And then he basically has a Gordon Hayward type injury, the one in the playoffs against the 76ers, not the one where he, you know what I'm saying? But Smart basically turns his ankle in a right angle, in a 90-degree angle. Then Kyle Lowry puts pressure on it too, inadvertently, but Kyle falls on his ankle while it's rolling. He's screaming on the floor. He's screaming on the floor in pain. I'm thinking he's done. Then when I saw the replay, I really thought he was done. Really thought he was done, because his ankle was literally slanted like this. His ankle was a right angle, bro. And I thought he was done. I'm thinking this is over for Smart. And you see him in the back, jumping and running and jogging, testing out his ankle. He runs and is like, I'm thinking Smart's like, nah, the pain's too much. Let's go back to the locker room. He ends up running out into the court, and I've never heard TD Garden get this loud ever, bro. I'm in this room. It's like I'm in an arena almost. Crowd gets wild. He comes back in the game, hits a 3 to cut it to 10. They call a timeout. Crowd's roaring. I think I'm in TD Garden. I would do a lot of things to be in TD Garden at that moment, but aside from the heroics, Smart wasn't that good. Obviously not as good as the last game. Pretty hard to come back from that game, but he was cool. 4 turnovers didn't help. It was hard out there, but Smart, cool performance, but not good by any means. The bench gave you practically nothing. Grant is basically a 6th starter, but Grant didn't really do anything until late, which is when you need it. Pritchard didn't really have an impact. I thought Pritchard should have been in the game a little bit longer, especially in that third when it was just Brown, and you needed somebody with some offense to create something that wasn't going to turn the ball over. He's pretty reliable there. I felt like you could have used him in the third quarter a little bit more. Derek White was a goose egg, not even looking at the rim, driving and just going back out, not even being aggressive with his size in between game, and easily scored 10 points if he's just aggressive, but didn't really have an impact passing either. Him and Tice sat the whole third quarter. I don't even think the effect that Tice had on this game was even about Tice and his play. I think when Bam saw that Rob wasn't starting and that Grant wasn't starting and he saw Tice, he reverted to being ultra aggressive. I just think it's a psychological thing now, bro, because if you watch the first 2 games, you knew Bam was going to come out trying to be overly aggressive and all that. Bam's not scoring 31 on Rob, Allen, Grant. It's just not happening. It's just the personnel, the length, the athleticism. He's not doing that on them. Granted, he gave Al like 3 straight. After that, Al stood him solid. But I just think it was really important to start this game off with a bang. And having Tyson there in that starting 5 fueled Bam and fueled everybody. And it just isn't the way that I wanted it to go. Starting down 26, you can't do that shit at home, especially not in the playoffs. Even if Jimmy goes down, that's a tall ass task. And the Heat kept giving the Celtics opportunities to come back. It was a stretch in the third quarter, I think, where the Heat missed like 8 straight shots. The Celtics turned it over 3 times, missing shots, just not rebounding, giving them second chance opportunities. It was crazy. And then in the fourth quarter, the Heat are getting steals. Even though they had 30 points on turnovers, it felt like they should have had 50 because it was the one where Tatum was hurt, I think. Brown lost the ball, gave the ball to Oladipo. He goes down, Brown blocks it. That should have been 2 points right there. Brown comes down, gets an and one. So it was just a crazy game. The free throws, I don't understand why Brown is not a good free throw shooter anymore. A guy that just went 100% on 2s from the field can't even go 75-80% from the free throw line, puzzling. Tatum missed a couple or one, but it's just a crazy game, and the Celtics just need to focus more. They revert to their old selves again too many times. It does all start with Tatum, but the whole team has to be focused. And Ime said they went over everything that he were going to do. They went out there and did exactly what they talked about. The Celtics just did not respond. There's no reason for that in the game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. This is the playoffs. Every game, every possession matters. You cannot have lapses like that. The Heat had no lapse of focus or physicality the entire game. Yes, they cooled off from the start. Jimmy was out for the whole second half, gave the Celtics a gift, but they never lost sight or focus of what they were trying to do. Yes, Hero shot bad, Kyle shot bad, but he came back effort, hard, 48 minutes. He played hard for 48 minutes. Bam, started off hot, had stretches where he was cold, never lost sight of what he was trying to do. Struz, Jaylen Brown cooking you at the other end. Comes down, hits a huge 3, gets another stop, never lost focus. PJ Tucker basically outplaying Tatum on both sides of the court. Had 17 points, 7 rebounds, only 3 fouls, 3 for 6 from 3, hit timely 3s. The offensive rebounds, just Tucker played amazing, bro. And Tatum got outplayed by PJ Tucker tonight on both sides of the court. Can't do that. And when you give up 23 turnovers, the most by a playoff team in 2 postseasons, you're not gonna win games, especially not in the Eastern Conference Finals. If a team's here, it's not by mistake. If a team's in the third round, it's usually not by mistake. So Celtics have to be better. I think the series can go 6 or 7. I'm still fairly confident the Celtics have the personnel, and the Heat half-court offense is not good at all. They had 30 points off turnovers. They scored 109. Just do the math. That's 70 points. Like, if the Celtics just cut that in half, the Heat's points off turnovers I couldn't have. They lose this game by 20. So you have to be more disciplined. And Ime usually does a great job of getting them to focus or refocus after a loss. So hopefully that's what happens in game 4, because if you lose game 4, the series is over. The Celtics respond, so they might force a game 7 if they go down 3-1. But still, you can't go down 3-1. You can't lose 2 games back to back in Boston. You cannot do that. You punted home court back to the Heat. You absolutely have to come back from this, and I think they will. It's gonna be a best of 3 series with 2 games in Miami. But if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, share to anybody that you can. I'm gonna go Celtics in 7 now, but they have to respond in game 4. It's your boy Nick. Peace.